Folks, this is going to be one of those videos where you're probably going to need to go grab a frosty cold beverage, maybe a snack, find someplace comfy, sit back, strap yourself in, and get ready for the ride. Battlefield of the Mind videos are usually fairly convoluted. It takes a lot of knowledge of history, and you need to watch the video the entire way through. This one's going to take you on a roller coaster ride. Now, normally, we have to talk about this stuff in the context of dark horse propaganda and reserve it for the folks over at Patreon. The information we have now is very, very public and has been put out in the last 48 to 72 hours. So I don't even know how the censors here on YouTube are going to be able to fight it. So we're just going to go for it. We're just going to give it a shot. Now, if you'd like to step up and join us over at the Patreon channel, love to have you over there. There's 4 levels, 2, 5, 10, and 15 a month. Tons and tons of content for whatever level you're at. And the best part, fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. Over there, we take the gloves off. We don't pull any punches. And we just tell it like it is. We're going to give that a shot today. And it's going to be something that we have talked about before. But with new information now, we are going to show something that I think is going to blow your mind. How many of you have heard? How many of you have heard that Donald Trump has pardoned this sheriff out of, I believe, Virginia, Culpeper County? This sheriff was convicted of taking bribes, and his co-conspirators admitted to the plot, admitted to the plan. In fact, 2 undercover FBI agents were amongst those who offered bribes to this sheriff, and he took it. Trump pardoned him. A guy that didn't even appeal the conviction. The guy who only appealed the sentence on the conviction. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Well, it's an interesting point of fact that when you have a law and order society, why would there be the ability to pardon someone who has basically admitted to doing the crime? Now, you ready for how this all ties in? Florida Maki, you're just looking for an excuse to show girls in bikini. You see, we just had, here in Florida, huge crush of people come down for the Memorial Day weekend. And there were all sorts of people out there at the beach having a good time. And there are many out there who said, boy, I tell you what, it's just, these girls are wearing less and less every year, and it's just horrible. And they must just want to see men lose their immortal souls and go to hell. Is that really their intent? Well, Florida Monkey, their intent doesn't matter. It's just they're really, wait a minute. Intent doesn't matter. Let's look at this picture. I'm sure a lot of you guys from the 80s remember this. See, Madonna, on the cover of her album Like a Virgin, was wearing way more clothes than vast majority of girls at the beach these days, right? But what was her intent? Very simply, to sell albums, to make money, to become popular. That was the intent. What was the intent of these girls again? To go get some sun? Have a fun day at the beach? No intent. But people would say, well, wait a minute, that's a lot less clothing. That should be then a lot less, acceptable. This should then be more acceptable. Remember the 2020 Super Bowl? When J-Lo and Shakira went out there and did what they did, both already wealthy, both already having been paid for the show. Why did they do what they did, the way they did it? You see, this is narcissism. Madonna wasn't wealthy at this time. Madonna was not wealthy. She was trying to become wealthy. So you could say greed. But this is narcissism. And last night, AMA Awards, 5 years later, with J-Lo being one of the wealthiest women in all of entertainment, she again pushed the envelope and decided to get all smoochy with 2 of her backup dancers for the attention. And then we jump to 18th century London, where 1 in 5 women were prostitutes. Mostly 95% covered in the street, but baubly earrings and makeup and, fine clothing. Historically, that's been associated more with prostitution than anything else. Of course, this was a crime, even though they were the most covered. This was the criminal act. This is just immoral. This is just greed. This is just nothing. Because it goes to state of the heart. Now, you ready for this? This is the part that's going to blow your mind. Grady Judd here in Florida has this game that he plays. They'll go out and they'll set up fake brothels to entrap people. They'll go out and set up fake brothels. The sheriff's office will. And they'll put undercover fake prostitutes out there to see if they can goad men into coming to the prostitute and committing a crime. Or attempting to commit a crime. And Grady Judd was just most recently out bragging about how they got 255 arrests at their latest entrapment scam. Because that's what it is. And I shared this screenshot because one of the guys says, well, I was having a hard time. I was having a crisis of faith in my life. And I had the option of going to church. But then I saw the ad. I saw the ad that the sheriff's office put online for this brothel. And, and I had that weak moment. Instead of going to church, I came here to find solace in the arms of a woman. And they arrested him. Him and hundreds of others. Under the guise of quote-unquote trafficking. You see, this is actively going out and trying to bring out the worst in people. Because had the ad not been there, more than likely the guy would have ended up in church. That's what he said. I want you to imagine an idea of someone in the last stages of life. And they're in an incredible amount of pain. And the doctors won't do anything for them. But perhaps this person's spouse back at home, tucked away in a closet somewhere, maybe has a little half bottle of oxycodone from something that happened in the past. They didn't finish it. And they try to sneak that little bit of pain medication into their loved one to maybe make their last few hours not quite so bad. See, that's a felony. Can you imagine doing that to, we're going to withhold the pain medication to see if this woman will go commit this crime so we can arrest them both for trafficking in narcotics. Because that's what that would be. Seems kind of silly, doesn't it? It seems kind of odd, doesn't it? That people trying to survive, the authorities are trying to throw in jail. People trying to survive who were mostly clothed were seen as the most immoral of society. But this is fine for TV. This is fine for TV. This was fine to hand out to 15, 16, and 17-year-old boys by the millions. That was fine. But this is the problem. Now put all of this in the context of a man who was elected to be sheriff, who was elected to enforce the law, who used his position to enrich himself, became an ally of Trump, was convicted and pretty much caught dead to rights taking bribes, handing out auxiliary sheriff's deputies badges to his buddies for money, basically. Those guys got caught. They got turned. They brought in other guys who were FBI agents who did the same thing and caught the guy taking bribes. This guy gets a full pardon. Willingly, knowingly, with a heart full of greed and selfishness, committed a crime, caught in the act, convicted in court, his co-conspirators admitted to the whole thing, but now gets a pardon. Tell me again. Tell me again about good and evil. Tell me again about right and wrong. Legal and illegal. How can this be in a law and order society? You see, there's probably folks saying, well, hold on, McKee. You're talking about things that are, more biblically oriented, meaning there's nothing illegal. There's nothing illegal about a, bunch of girls in skimpy little bikinis at the beach. There's nothing illegal about that, or the guys that, go to the beach to watch the girls walk around in their skimpy little bikinis. There's nothing illegal about that. It's an immoral thing. Well, what is law based on? What is all law based on? Legal, illegal, right, wrong, moral, immoral, good, bad. What's it based on? You see, that's the fundamental concept on all psychological operations. You have to make sure that the people that you're targeting, in order to have a successful psychological operation, that you understand their moral code, that you understand their culture, what motivates them, what they think is right and wrong, the reasons they may or may not do something. Let me ask you a question about this picture one more time. Some people, I know there's people already typing about modesty. Let's say 100 girls all went to the beach on a private island, and there was nothing but girls on the beach. And so they decided, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to do birthday suits. Is that immodest? Does modesty or immodesty require the presence of the opposite sex? Because if you were on a private island somewhere and it was nothing but women, and you decided, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to, or maybe 10 or 12 of them, maybe not all of them. Would they be immodest at that point? No more than if they went to a YWCA and went and took a shower. Or anywhere else where there would be, a public bathing thing. Public/private. Like at a gym or something. Nothing immodest about that, right? You know what the odd thing is about the album Like a Virgin? More girls bought it than guys. Go look at the stats. More girls bought the album Like a Virgin than guys did, even though this was the cover. There were as many women watched the Super Bowl as there were men. And the vast majority of the prostitutes in London in the 17th century weren't doing so under the guise of any man. They weren't, meaning they were independent. So I guess I want to know, I guess I'm looking for the answers. Is what Grady Judd doing right? Entrapping people into the worst versions of themselves? Knowing there are people out there that if we put these ads out, and we make them look like it's the best way to spend the afternoon, that we're going to get people to bite? You see, this is leading people into temptation. Well, Grady Judd here, and I agree with him on a lot of things, especially, the idea of personal weapons. But this idea of leading people into temptation? Do you see the corollary? Leading people into temptation or leading people into temptation. This is not a crime. What he's doing is changing people's lives forever for the negative. Meaning people who were not convicted criminals before are now. People who have never spent a day in jail will now. People whose marriages were fine before are now over. What would you do? Let's say you were a nurse. Let's say you were an orderly. Maybe you were just the guy delivering the little food trays in the hospital. And you caught somebody giving pain medications that they weren't prescribed to a dying loved one. Would you turn them in? If you wouldn't, I guess that'd make you part of the problem. I guess what many would say is, oh, there's all the people who are quiet and silent about the crime that goes on. And believe me, you'll get a lot more time in prison for handling things like oxycodone and Dilaudid. And if you don't have a prescription for it and you're caught with it, a lot worse than picking up a prostitute. A lot worse. Kind of odd, don't you think? Do you excuse Trump? How many out there excuse Trump? How many out there think, well, I love Donald Trump so much, and I'm just going to defer to his judgment because I'm sure he has a good reason. Go look at the facts of the case. The guy was guilty as sin. And I'll say it again, the guy didn't even appeal his conviction. The only thing the guy appealed was his sentence. Because he was caught dead to rights. And Trump just made it, poof, abracadabra, like it never happened. Like it never happened. I doubt that's gonna happen for, where is it? I lost it, I guess. I doubt that's going to happen for any of these people who were entrapped. Doubt they're going to get any pardons. They don't have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to give to Trump for his campaigns. So just saying. Next time you hear somebody complain about this, or somebody waggle their high and mighty little finger, you might take a minute and go, really? Is there any state of the heart here that is a problem? No. There isn't. When you look at the cold, clinical, factual evidence, which is what the Patreon channel is all about, divorcing yourself from emotions and looking at things through a different lens, the lens of the mind, as opposed to the lens of the heart. So I'll leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.